You've just been shot, but your body might be lying to you about how much danger you're actually in. In the first few seconds, you could still be standing, talking, even thinking clearly, while a serious internal injury is already developing. By the end, you'll understand the most deceptive part of being shot. Why your body can sometimes make a dangerous injury feel less serious than it really is. How you feel cannot safely tell you how badly you are hurt. Second 0. The projectile passes through tissue, and the damage depends on what lies in its path. Think of a ripple moving through gel. Tissue is pushed and stretched, but the injury varies enormously with location. For some people, the first sensation is immediate severe pain. For others, it may feel like pressure, burning, numbness, weakness, or simply a sudden sense that something is very wrong. In the heat of the moment, your brain can actually mute pain to keep you moving. Extreme stress can temporarily reduce pain in some people while intensifying it in others. So there is no single honest description of what being shot feels like, and that uncertainty is where the danger begins. The first 10 to 30 seconds. Your body's survival mode kicks into high gear. Your heart may speed up. Blood vessels tighten. Stress hormones surge as your body tries to preserve blood flow to vital organs. You might feel intensely alert, shaky, detached, or strangely functional. And here is the first trap. Being able to stand, speak, or move does not prove the injury is minor. What if a nerve was hit? The sensation can be burning, electric, tingling, numb, or weak because damaged nerves distort signals. What if the chest was hit? If air collects around a lung, breathing can become painful or difficult. The chest may feel tight, and breathing can speed up. What if the abdomen was hit? Some serious abdominal injuries do not cause overwhelming symptoms immediately. Pain can increase later as bleeding or irritation develops. Already the outside feeling and the inside damage can tell two different stories. Now the first minute. If bleeding is significant, your body starts compensating. The heart beats faster. Blood vessels constrict. Circulation is prioritized toward the brain and heart. And here comes the first major twist. Your blood pressure does not have to collapse immediately. Early in blood loss, the body can sometimes maintain blood pressure even while blood volume is falling. Imagine a fuel gauge that still looks nearly full while the tank is cracked underneath and leaking. That is the blood pressure trap. One apparently normal reading does not prove everything is fine. Ask yourself this: which is more dangerous, the moment you feel terrible, or the moment your body is still hiding how bad things are? A few minutes in. If blood loss continues, your body has to work harder. You may feel weak or lightheaded. Your skin can become cool or clammy. Breathing may speed up. Thinking can become harder. Wait, if you can still think enough to be worried, are you actually safe? Not necessarily. You may still be conscious while circulation worsens. Restlessness, anxiety, or confusion can appear as tissues receive less oxygen. But do not turn this into a stopwatch. There is no medically honest rule saying, at 3 minutes this happens and at 5 minutes you pass out. A limited injury and a major vascular injury can follow completely different timelines. It depends on what was damaged, bleeding rate, breathing, health, medications, and treatment. Now a pattern interrupt. What if the person says, "It barely hurts"? Would you feel reassured? You should not. Pain is not a reliable meter of injury severity. A very painful wound can be survivable. A less painful wound can still be life-threatening. Your nervous system reports sensation. It does not calculate how much circulating blood you have left. If this kind of science changes how you think about the human body, subscribe. The next part is where compensation can begin turning into failure, 10 to 30 minutes. This is not a universal schedule. It is simply when some serious injuries may become clearer. If bleeding continues, compensation can begin to fail. Blood pressure may fall. Weakness can deepen. Confusion can become more obvious. Someone speaking normally minutes earlier may become drowsy or struggle to focus. What if the injury is in the chest? Then breathing can become the dominant problem. If one lung cannot expand normally, oxygen levels can fall, and breathing may become faster and more difficult. Now another what if. What if the abdomen was injured, but the person felt almost okay for the first few minutes? That does not clear them. Some internal injuries become more obvious with time. Blood can collect internally, and pain can spread or intensify. The danger is not that symptoms are always delayed. The danger is that they can be 30 minutes to 1 hour. Now the story can split. If the injury is limited and bleeding is stopped, the person may remain awake and increasingly aware of local pain. If major bleeding continues, the entire body can begin to feel wrong. Cold, weak, thirsty, restless, confused, breathing faster. Eventually, if the brain is no longer receiving enough blood flow, consciousness can fade. This is what shock means in trauma. Not simply being emotionally frightened, it means circulation is failing to deliver enough oxygen to tissues. And here is where movies often get it wrong. People do not all collapse instantly after being shot. But staying conscious for 30 minutes does not mean someone is safe. Consciousness is a clue, not a guarantee. Now move into the next few hours. If immediate threats are controlled in medical care, the experience can change again. The intense stress response may settle. Pain that initially felt muted can become more obvious. Swelling and inflammation develop. Muscle and bone injuries can hurt more with movement. Nerve injuries can cause burning, tingling, shooting pain, numbness, or weakness. Chest injuries can leave breathing painful or tiring. Abdominal pain may become more persistent. So asking, what did it feel like at the exact moment? Only gives half the answer. And now we come back to the question from the beginning. How can a dangerous injury sometimes feel less dramatic than expected? Here is the full answer. Two systems can temporarily hide severity. The first is the brain. In extreme stress, the brain can alter pain processing and temporarily reduce pain in some people. The second is the cardiovascular system. When blood volume falls, the body can raise heart rate and tighten blood vessels, helping preserve pressure for a time. Put those two effects together. Pain can be muted. Blood pressure can still look acceptable. The person can still be talking. Yet underneath, the injury may still be serious. That is the dark truth. Your body is designed to keep you functioning through an emergency, and that can temporarily make the emergency look less severe. Useful survival response? Yes. Reliable reassurance? No. Now, one more twist. If severe shock continues, the problem is no longer just blood loss. Poor circulation means tissues receive less oxygen. Cells become less efficient. Acidity can rise. The body can become cold. Clotting can become impaired. Those problems can reinforce one another. So the timeline is not simply the pain gets worse. A local injury can turn into a whole body circulation problem. And that is why the most important question after a gunshot is not, how much does it hurt? It is, what was damaged? And is the body still maintaining blood flow and oxygen? In real life, any gunshot injury is a medical emergency, even if the person is awake and says they feel okay. So what does it actually feel like to be shot? In the first seconds, it may be severe pain, pressure, burning, numbness, weakness, or surprisingly little pain. Over the next minutes, significant blood loss can bring a racing pulse, cold skin, weakness, lightheadedness, anxiety, or confusion. A chest injury can make breathing progressively harder. Some internal injuries can reveal themselves later. Over the next hours, pain and inflammation may become more obvious even after immediate threats are being treated. There is no single countdown, no universal pain level, no guaranteed moment of collapse. The most unsettling truth is much simpler. What you feel and how much danger you are actually in are not always the same thing. And that gap is exactly why trauma can be so deceptive. If you want the next dark truth breakdown of what the human body experiences in an extreme emergency, subscribe and keep watching.